I do want to touch on, so you know your partners obviously are a huge role. I love that you said that you add, well, first off, described your role and described your value, and that's what makes you a huge asset. A lot of people nowadays are, just reaching out to people and saying, hey, asking questions, which is great. But, if you're not adding someone value, they may not get back to you. Or if you're not adding value to someone, they may not take you along with a deal. So I think it's, very, very important to know how to add value to someone, whether that's finding deals, the money, whatever it may be. Know your role, know your value, and, provide that to someone so you can get into real estate investing. So do you have specific markets that you invest in? I know you said a couple different states. So how do you go about investing, and where do you look?
Yeah. So my direct to seller business, off market deals, right, is Indiana and Michigan. And the reason why is, well, I lived in Indiana and now I live in Michigan. It's very simple, actually. And why this is important, and I'll touch on direct to seller a little bit here too, because it kind of factors into like where I'm investing. I want to be within driving distance, or have someone on my team, a partner within driving distance of investors that I want to buy their property. And the reason why this is important, especially in off market, is because these guys are getting called all the time. And who are you different than Joe Schmo that just called them trying to buy their apartment building? What we do instead of, hey, you want to see an offer to buy your property? Which works sometimes if you time it right. Like, we got lucky. Our 10 unit, we sent him a text message, and it just so happened that he was like, yeah, I want to sell right now. And we're like, wow, that worked out, right? That usually doesn't happen. What we've realized, and why we've had so much traction in the last 2-3 months on actually getting properties under contract, is we're focusing on the relationship. And how to build that relationship is not over the phone. Like, you got to get them on the phone to start. That's like step one. But then it's, how can you meet them in person, even if it's not to buy their property? So this is what it looks like, right? We have a CRM. We upload all of our leads into the CRM. And this CRM, the software, is actually, I'm developing it for the public. So it should be out, relatively soon, within this year, which will be a huge asset to a ton of people. But right now, it's just our company that uses it, my company that uses it. And so I have a acquisition specialist that is calling all of our leads. He's calling and sending text messages, and he has literally the same super simple script. Like, it's nothing crazy. But when he does get someone on the phone, his approach is, hey, I'm Mario with, Commercial Asset Solutions, my company, Cash LLC, to go with Cashflow, Cowboy. But he's like, hey, Justin is an investor in your area, and he would love to get to know you. We see that you have apartments in the area and would like to meet up and find a way that maybe there's some synergies on working together. And why is this important? Now I can go have coffee or lunch with someone who owns an apartment building that I want to buy, and I can start talking to them, and they get to know me, they get to trust me, and then maybe a month or two later is when we're actually talking about, hey, do you still want to self-manage this thing? Because, we just sold a building, we got money to 1031, you ready to, like, we could buy it if you'd want. And that's how you get an offer in front of them that they legitimately will trust and accept and talk to you and give you the financials that you need to make a calculated decision on how much you can offer. It's very hard to do that on one phone call of, hey, you want to see an offer from us? Like, we're cash buyer, whatever it may be. Nothing against cash buyers, but it's like, it works a lot better in the single family space. When you get into a more sophisticated investor in the multifamily space, which we're in, we found so much traction by focusing on the relationship and then trying to get the offers out to them to purchase their property.
Yeah, you're building rapport. And I know with, like, as far as a real estate, agent, as far as what I do for a living, I know it's always like based on touches. Like, you want to get send mailers. You want to call someone. It's all about how many times you touch or call them and they see your face or they talk to you. And it's all about that. Would you say it's similar to what you're saying?
100%. That's actually where I learned kind of a lot of this. When I was a realtor, right? I told you kind of the statistics of what I did first year. Like, they were good, strong statistics. That's kind of like what a 4 to 9 year, I think I looked it up, 4 to 9 year experienced realtor did what I did in year one. And the reason why is because I picked up the phone and I was cold calling people for listings. And it was the people that I remembered to call back a couple times that actually worked out. And that's why this concept of a CRM, customer relation manager, or whatever it's called, management system, is so important for people if they want to find deals. It even works for if the brokers are the ones finding you deals, it's even good to have a CRM because it reminds you to touch base with them every month, right? So if you have like 4 or 5 realtors that you're working with to try to find you a deal, well, you're top of mind when you talk to them or go have lunch with them. But a week later, you're forgotten. I mean, you're nobody to them, right? They have all this stuff going on. So if you can have a system that tracks those people or tracks those leads and say, hey, follow up in 2 weeks, follow up in a month, and see if anything has changed. Just hitting them with those multiple touches. What is it, like 7 touches? I think it is like this.
Yep.
This concept of 7 touches. If you can keep doing that, you're just every touch you're like higher chance of actually getting this deal, higher chance of actually getting this deal. And that's what's so important, because in the direct to seller business, usually it's months before you actually are getting an offer in front of these people to sell their building, but it's you were the consistent one over that months, and they probably had 4 or 5 other people reach out to them that didn't follow up. And that's why you set yourself apart. And when they do finally get you those financials, the next step is to be ready with it. Like, know the market. That's why I don't go invest in a million markets. Hone them in, right? Indiana, Michigan, that's what I know. Know those markets. And then when you do see a deal and you see those financials, you can get them an offer within 24, 48 hours. That shows them that you're a serious buyer. And that's all you need to do. You need to be consistent, and then you need to be serious when it comes time to making that offer. And that's how we have 4 under contract right now, or almost 4 under contract right now, and we just closed one last week, all because of that.
That's awesome. So yeah, we talked about, the touches and everything like that, and that's extremely valuable, what you just said. So I want the listeners to really hone in and pay attention to that could really help them in finding deals. And the next, with that being said, how do you get those contacts to begin with? Like, as far as getting that number of the owner of the 10 unit to text him and get the deal, how do you find those, contacts so that they can go and build rapport, as we will say? Oh,
you want my secret sauce? Okay. All right. I see how it is. Yes, this is important, right? Because at the end of the day, let's say you have a lead funnel, right? And if you're putting crap in the funnel, you're getting crap out of the funnel, right? You're not going to buy anything if you're not putting good leads into it. And so it's very important that you're getting good quality leads. And the way that we do it, we're kind of refining. We're always getting better at what we're doing. What we found success is we use CoStar has been a great resource. We have access to that where we can actually get a list of the area that we're interested in, maybe pencil it out by our buying criteria, and then it usually gives like a phone number or something. And at that point, we're like, all right, we'll call these. We have a higher chance of getting a hold of them. The downside is that, anyone else with CoStar access can get the exact same resource, this exact same list that we have of leads. And then we're kind of like having to figure out how to make ourselves stand out differently. There are ways that you can go to the county and ask them for a list. It's very hard, but it works out if you can get it from them because they have that information, right? They're taxing all of these buildings. They know exactly how many multifamily units are in their area, and they're taxing them, right? But it's hard for that. You get the hold of the right person in that county to get you that information and get it to you in a way that you can, property address and unit count and stuff, so you can filter it by your criteria. Usually helps. So between CoStar and the counties is kind of where we're doing that. And then we have someone skip trace those lists for phone numbers. And then I have my full-time acquisition specialist who's going through and the guy's making 300-ish call texts a day, right? He is pounding the dialer. And that's another aspect, right? A lot of people want to do direct to seller, but they don't have the time to do it. And I didn't have the time, and it was like, I didn't like I could talk to someone on the phone, but I didn't like waking up and knowing I have to make 100 phone calls right now. Like that was exhausting because as soon as I had the littlest distraction, I would go chase that because I didn't want to do the calling, right? But I learned how to do calling because it's very important. It's a very important skill to this business. And then as a result, I invested in my business by hiring on someone full time to do that. That's what he's great at. That's his specialty. He can be on the phone all day long and he gets energized. And so as a result, he's in the right seat on the bus and I'm in the right seat on the bus with, managing the leads and stuff. And as they become warmer and warmer and then eventually a hot lead, that's when I can step in and, then I'm almost like a closer. And once it's under contract, then I kind of put together the partnership as well.
I think something that's very important is, first off, these people that, if anyone does want to get started in doing direct to seller and finding deals like you do, first off, it may not even be valuable to them because of the time that they would have to put in versus going to someone like yourself and just getting, just paying a wholesale fee. And you know what I mean? And it's just going to be, more valuable, to them because they just don't have the time, like you said. And I also think that, you and your business may have an upside as far as, how to follow up. You have someone specifically, just like you said, each seat of the bus is taken and they have a specific role. And then you also, how to build rapport. You sound like a salesman just talking. So, you're good with talking with people and building relationships, which is what you need to be the closer like you are. So, at the end of the day, building a successful business, you have to have every, key part, which sounds like you guys have. So for someone just to go and, start it, obviously, it's going to take work, but it just may not be as valuable to them.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that. I sound sales. It's like my background's engineering. Like I should have no business being, and that was like kind of why I probably shifted out of the engineering world was I had this kind of this people skill set. But the funny thing is, I am so thankful for this engineering background because I kind of alluded to it earlier, right? Our CRM, we leverage a ton of technology to try to bridge some of those problems that you brought up, right? With direct to sell, it's very time consuming, remembering to follow up and stuff like that. And so that's why I almost felt like I was strategically positioned where I have a huge understanding of technology and we leverage it in our CRM and our software tremendously in our business. And so that's when I realized by talking to other people that are trying to get started in direct to seller where they're like, we don't even know where to start. Like, what is a CRM? Like, how do we even use it properly? Like, I'm not tech savvy, but I'm good on the phones, but you can't get on the phone if you don't know how to like properly export lead or import leads and get them skip traced and stuff like that. So as a result, I was like, okay, you're right. This is tough. I'm having success with what I got. Let me package this in a way. And so I went and I've actually spent my own money, like my dollars are being spent every week packaging this together to try to make it like a legitimate like offer, something I can offer to anyone who wants to get started in direct to seller, because it's very important to be set up for success early on so you don't get discouraged, because it's already discouraging enough as a business because you get 100 no's before you get a yes. Like that's how it works. So if you're already getting a bunch of no's on the phone and then your system itself sucks and it's like impossible to really get a hold of people or stay on top of people, that's now 1,000 no's before you get a yes. And that, like, I don't know about you, like I have some drive and some mental fortitude, but I can't do that. Like that, I'd be down in the dumps after that. And so that's why I've spent so much time actually trying to make this something for other people, because it is to try to like bridge those issues that we have of if you don't have a technology background, you're kind of screwed. And that's like, well, I don't want that. I want everyone to be successful.
Well, what I'll do is I'll get your website and put it in the show notes so anyone that's interested can go check them out. Even if it's not available now, when it is available, if you keep checking, then obviously you can still follow him on Instagram as well.